everyone, and welcome back to Kindred, and welcome to the fourth of our 5 episodes in the mini-series we are doing this season, all about animals that are maligned for many reasons and for far too long. Am I not right, sister?
I think you're right. Yeah.
I'm right. I mean, these poor babies. Let's get over it.
And for no real reason, not for no valid reason.
Yeah. We're a bunch of ding-dongs. Sister, please tell the good people what species we are talking about today.
Great. We are talking about the vulture.
We sure are, which I really love them. And I have for a really long time. One of my longtime favorites. So what are your kind of overall general thoughts about vultures when you think of them or see them?
So unlike some of the other animals we have talked about, I never minded vultures. I think I thought they were fascinating because even though I've learned I'm not necessarily right, from being a child, a pretty young child, observing them, because I've always been attracted to all the birds of prey, the big birds. And so first of all, learning that how they aren't hawks and I can tell that they're not hawks. But also when you see them circling as a child, I thought it meant something was dead. And now I learned that's not necessarily true, but I was fascinated by the behavior and it caught my attention. And it still does. Like through my life, that's been a constant thing. I'm like, oh, something must be not doing well over there. And I've just always found that connection to nature very interesting, just like it's happening when the world's going on around you. And yet, so I've always felt like they were very intriguing, not creepy. I never thought they were creepy.
That's really interesting. And, I feel like I see them, I would say, I'm not exaggerating, on a daily basis.
Oh, almost every day. Yeah.
Even and I think they're, as a child, sort of aware of the sky as well. Like you saw them all the time. They were just so much a part of just the backdrop, like the trees, there are vultures. And I even just took a couple videos the other day about vultures in the sky, a ton of them. There must have been, I want to say 100. So there were more than 50. I don't know. I got to send this to our guests and say, can you tell me what's happening? It was wild, but they're just always around. And I think, the other thing that's so cool is that they are part of this ecosystem service, species world, much like our friends like the hyena and possum.
Yeah.
So what they save us economically now is being tallied by scientists, which I love because these animals are doing a job that is now being shown in also a monetary gain for us humans.
Right.
And as far as taxes go, even, not to mention like the disease and the bacteria they're saving us all from.
Right.
But they really are just sort of like, it's funny too sometimes. Like I do think that there are species out there of, flora and fauna that I know the least about because they're always just there.
Right. They're not mysterious, but it doesn't mean you know very much about them.
That's right. Yeah. Can I name that tree? Shamefully, probs not. Yeah. So, I mean, I know what a vulture is for sure, but really interesting.
Yeah.
So before we introduce you all to our guest today, we are hoping you might consider supporting our work by joining our Kindred Plus community through subscribing to the podcast. Just go to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and select that subscribe tab, and you'll get exclusive content and early access to all of our episodes. Or just head over to the website, kindredpodcast.co, where you can donate to us through subscriptions or through that app, buy a coffee when you select that little yellow coffee cup, which is a great way to support us. And we thank you all so much for those coffees that I saw coming in. We see you, and we are so grateful for the caffeine fuel.
Yeah, for sure.
We love our tea and coffee here.
Keeps our podcast running.
It sure does. Boy, does it help. Okay, so let me introduce you to our guest. Today, we are joined by Kojo Baidoo. He is a naturalist and ecologist, and longtime birder. He received a degree in ecology and evolutionary biology from Princeton University, where he did his senior thesis on black vultures. He is currently working with the Nature Conservancy in Nebraska on the Plat River Prairies, learning about land management and conservation on, I think he said, about 4,000 acres of protected prairie land. I've never been to the prairies. I really want to go there.
No, me neither. Yeah. I've driven through, but never been there. Yeah, me too.
Just something, I don't know. It sounds like a really fascinating ecosystem. So Kojo is just starting out on in his formal career, but he's been, as you'll hear, a lifetime birder at the ripe old age of 23.
Yes.
A lifetime birder and is a lover of vultures. And part of his mission is fighting back against the negative PR animals like vultures get. And he does this through his photography and social media, which heavily features vultures. He is really active on Instagram with over 43,000 followers. And you just started following him, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he's also, other than my sister, followed by Cornell Birds, the Audubon Society, and Teton Raptor Center.
Oh, cool. That's a cool place.
You know about them because we interviewed Dr. Catherine Gura all about the great gray owl, and she has worked with them. So that's very cool. Kojo, just being a huge supporter of vultures, caught our attention, of course, because it's not every day you see a young person, especially out there, featuring a bird like the vulture. And we thought he would just be a really great person to speak with. And we were right, were we not?
We were right. Yep.
What a breath of fresh air these young people are in this podcast. So, all right, let's hitch up and head out to Nebraska and hear all about the dynamic black vulture, which turns out might display a sense of humor. They're certainly curious. And if we don't get their sense of humor, maybe it's because we aren't as smart as they are. I mean, I often have trouble with jokes. You know me, I don't.
Or like, sometimes other people have trouble getting your jokes too. So maybe you're like the vulture. Maybe you're too smart for the rest of us.
Oh, man, you are something. Okay, if you don't know what she's talking about, go listen to our episode on orcas, and you'll, if you haven't heard that intro, don't miss out. Sweet burn, sister. I love it. All right.
It's called a callback in the business. Come on.
Exactly. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you in a bit. Kojo, hello, and welcome to Kindred. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, same. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yeah, my name is Kojo Baidoo. I'm a 23-year-old naturalist and ecologist. I'm originally born in Baltimore, Maryland, and I went to school at Princeton, New Jersey, and got a degree in ecology and evolutionary biology. And while I was there, I did my senior thesis on black vultures, which I've really come to know and love very much, and like to share not just about them, but about just birds and nature in general, how really cool and transformative it is.
Yeah. Well, we have been looking forward to this conversation, and this episode is part of a series. We are doing this season on misunderstood and often demonized animals. And it's our hope that through conversations such as this, we can help change the false narratives many of us have on incredible and dynamic animals like hyenas and sharks and bats, and now, of course, vultures. So thank you for joining us on this quest, sir.
Thanks so much again for having me.
Yeah, we're excited. So Kojo, just to start, I'd love to hear your story of how you came to be working in ecology, in your photography, and specifically what brought you to focusing on vultures during your collegiate years at Princeton University. I love them, and I think they're magnificent beasts, but not everyone does. So were vultures animals you were always drawn to?
Yeah, in a way, I would say, yeah. I got into birding pretty early. I think I was 6 or 7 years old.
Okay,
that's pretty early. Yeah. I mean, considering you're 23, that's pretty long time ago.
Tiny Kojo, that's real cute.
It still feels weird to say, like, on my resume, if it's a birding job, like 17 years of experience. I'm like, is that real? Yeah, I guess it is. I was a big reader and also pretty big on going outside as a kid. And I feel like I had a connection to birds, and I remember my older brother kind of pointing out mockingbirds on the deck and being like, "Those are fighting hawks," and I believed him, and they were just. But
Not quite
I
that.
really,
Oh, big brothers.
yeah, I really got into it when I read a book about raptors that I got from my local book fair, which it was honestly funny how integral my brother has been and my early experience because he's not really out or not really much of a naturalist at all. But his class, he's my older brother, happened to be visiting at the same time. And I didn't know what book to get. I was kind of drawn to this book and I was like, what should I get? And he just said, get that one with the cool owl on it. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll get it if you say so. And it turns out it was a northern harrier, not an owl. But I read that book and I was absolutely hooked and started reading more about getting all kinds of bird books for the library. And as for vultures, I remember them being kind of the first. They're super common, and so they were kind of the first bird that I didn't know about prior that I saw in the guide and saw in real life, and that's when I kind of had the sense that okay, this isn't just like another fantasy book I'm reading.
Right. I was actually thinking that same thing as a kid. Like vultures were very something early I was aware of that when you see them and just the fascination that when you see them circling, it means there's something that's died, and they're so. I was pretty young, not 6 or 7, but definitely not a teenager when I could tell the difference between a vulture and a hawk. Because people are like, look at that hawk. Like, that is not a hawk.
Exactly.
So
that was my favorite thing to tell me.
And they're just so different. But I remember being aware of them, very aware, and just seeing they're quietly circling. I was like, wow, there's a bunch of them, and wondering what had befallen the fate of something below.
It's cool because sometimes they're not even they haven't even found something. They're just all trying to get higher, like they're on a thermal and just hanging out together on the way to find something. They kind of follow each other and freeload in a sense.
It's not even probably correct, but Oh, interesting.
So then, Kojo, so you're drawn to birds. You're a little birder guy, from obviously very young. And like through high school, did you continue this? And did you pick up photography at some point? I'm just sort of like, how did you? Then you're off to Princeton, and this is your major, right?
Yeah, I picked up photography in middle school. And it just became a complement to my birding. I've really enjoyed it because it helps me spend more time with individual birds and appreciate them more and really note their behaviors and things. And so I continued that all through high school. My parents, once they saw that I was serious, they helped me get my own gear, of course.
Nice.
And I'm really grateful to them for that, for fostering it, even when they're not really outdoorsy themselves.
Well, did Princeton convince them of your dedication, or was it in high school? They're like, we give up, just be a birder.
I suppose so. Yeah. Yeah. And when I got there, I got into ecology. I kind of always knew I wanted to go that route.
Okay.
And I didn't know in what sense, and I still, if I'm being honest, don't quite know in what way I'd like to contribute professionally. Still figuring that out.
Sure.
But in the college, there's a lot of research. I did a lot of research. I was able to help out grad students and things, and that's one place where my school really helped for sure. And we all had to do a senior thesis, which I lamented for the first 3 years. Of school because I just didn't know what I'd do it on. I'm so interested I knew it would be birds, obviously.
Right. Too many kinds of birds to narrow it down. I gotcha.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, but my advisor happened to have a grad student who was working on vultures. And I was pretty happy to latch on to like anybody's project because I was just like, I'll find my own questions, but like if you have like at least any focus, I'd love to. But then it was vultures, and I was like, oh, that's kind of kismet. I feel like I kind of got my start with them, and I wouldn't even say it was a super, like I had an obsession with them at that point, but I always had a fascination with them and always had a soft spot for them, I'd say. So it just really was meant to be, I feel like.
Yeah. And then, we found you via Instagram and you've got your photography is really amazing. So did you start fine tuning that during college? Has that been more recent? Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of, I'd say all the way from middle school all the way through college. Okay. I started with just my phone and binoculars. And I started because I wanted to have a home screen of a bird of a photo I've taken myself. For some reason, that was a fixation for me. But then again, once I got serious, my parents were like, okay, we'll get you a real camera. And see where you go. I
love you. Just wore them down.
Yeah.
Good job.
I like thinking about tiny little Kojo I'm picturing you with glasses on, even as a youngster, and your
Yes, I did.
binoculars around your neck. And I think I would have died if I'd seen you out in the wild.
I
Like,
got a
look at
couple
this
photos
guy.
I got off my mom's old camera.
Aw,
Oh
so
man,
cute.
must have that photo. Oh man, and just
That's
little
darling.
when people are little and they just love what they're doing at that age. I don't know. It breaks your heart. It's so
Yeah,
cute.
it is very cute.
So that's a great story. I love that. And we don't often I don't know. I wanted to be a lot of things when I was little. Just the fact that you've kind of loved it all the time and you're still with this. And again, like you're younger. You've just come out of college and you're well, what are you doing right now actually? Because this is interesting. Where are you?
Yeah, right now I'm in Nebraska. I'm working for the Nature Conservancy, the Nebraska chapter of the Nature Conservancy, on a preserve called the Plat River Prairies, which is about 4,000 acres of remnant and restored prairie. So I'm learning about land management and also just how a conservation organization runs. And so it's been a super cool opportunity. I've been here since February, and I'll be here probably until next February.
That is fantastic. All
Yeah.
right. Well, that's a segue. We'll have to come back to that another time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd love to switch gears a bit and dig into now the physiology, cognitive abilities, social structures, and just the cooperative behavior and family bonds that it turns out vultures have. So talk to us about all of that and just what sets vultures apart and just makes them so interesting.
Yeah, so vultures are super social birds, and they kind of have to be. They work, I wouldn't say it's necessarily collaborative, but they kind of feed off each other, or feed is the wrong word, but they use each other to find food. So they form these big communal roosts. Some species do. Black vultures are the ones I usually speak about. Those are the ones I know the best. But
and I'll just pause here just to clarify. We are talking about, North American or New World vultures today. That's what we'll be focusing on.
Yeah, all of the old worlds kind of have, old worlds have a lot of the same behaviors because they're both obligate scavengers. They only feed on carrion, so they've developed a lot of behaviors kind of independently, but a lot of the same ones.
Okay,
but generally, I'm talking about New World for sure.
Amazing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they form these big roosts, and so when they find food, or when an individual finds food, basically other individuals know that they've been successful that day, and so the next day they'll often follow them to the same food source. But this kind of breeds another issue, which is you don't want your competitors following you to the same, because you got kids to feed, or you got a mate, and you got a family, and so they form these really strong familial bonds, where they will allow, of course, related individuals to follow them, and they won't show aggression towards those individuals, but they will fight and chase anybody that they're not really related to or rivals.
Oh, okay.
But then it gets really tricky because if you got family who is going to help you out by inclusive fitness theories and all that stuff that I learned in school at some point, you want to help them out even if they're not your direct family member, because you get what we call, I guess, a fitness benefit from that in some way.
What's the definition of that? Does this just mean we're healthy and we can do this? What is that definition?
If you're doing well, then you can pass your genes on to more offspring.
Oh, got it.
Theoretically, if your family member is doing well, that's still good because you have some of the same genes. So you kind of associate. Yeah, that's kind of an oversimplification, and I'll be honest, I don't remember the full.
That's perfect. That's plenty. Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's why that's why humans, for example, are really big on family and
right. So now that's sort of indicating a high level of organization and intelligence, right? They're communicating.
Yes, exactly. They have a bunch of interesting displays and signals that they employ. One of my favorite is the beak toss threat, which is kind of a pre-physical interaction signal. So if there's an individual that you don't like, you're going to toss your beak at him, and it's kind of like a nod, so it looks like that.
Implementing that immediately into my repertoire of
yeah. And so it's basically no animal wants to fight because fighting is costly and hurt your physical condition. But sometimes, especially if it's an individual that is close in rank to you, essentially, you're willing to do it because there's a possibility that you might win the fight. So
And I guess they're hoping that they don't have to fight. They'll just scare them off with showing that they're willing to. You want to go, kind of thing.
And so sometimes it works. Sometimes the other vulture backs off, but sometimes it'll stay put or it'll be tossed back, and that's when they'll fight. Or in a more complicated scenario, another family member, another affiliate, I'll say, comes in and tips the scale, so to speak. So that can be on either bird's side.
Okay,
but
right,
there are
right.
often 3-way, 4-way, even 5-way fights and chases that happen. It gets really complicated.
Wow, that's intense.
Are they doing this like standing, or are they flying when they're doing this?
They're standing. So like if a bird flies into the roost and another bird walks up to it and is like, I don't want you here, that's when things happen. But then the usually I think chases are more common where they don't actually make contact. But then if the bird getting chased slows down, then it gets beaten up essentially. But then also they have actual physical fights, and then the loser of the fight gets chased and off and stuff.
And now the thing that's interesting too about this is that something I learned from you is that vultures don't have a larynx, so they're not sure what this is. Tell us about that, because this is going to sound even more hectic.
Yeah, so a lot of birds have a syrinx, which is like a larynx, but I think it has two parts, so they can make super cool noises and make more than one noise at a time. Vultures have none of that; they don't have vocal cords at all, and so they make a couple noises, like a couple grunts and sniffs and wheezes and things. And
they hiss, right?
Hissing is the most common one. They'll hiss when they feel threatened by a predator. Usually, they don't really hiss at each other, but like if you enter their nest, for instance, their nesting area, then you'll get hissed at.
That is wild. That's wild. They don't have any vocal cords. I did not know that. I was blown away by that.
I'm curious what I'm sure there's an evolutionary reason for that.
Like a benefit?
Do you have ideas?
Yeah, I think it's part of it is they're not really territorial in the true sense because they're so social. Like they don't necessarily like each other all the time, but they will still be in the same area. So there's no need for them to really defend much of a territory. And a lot of times singing is to defend a territory.
Oh, right. Singing is like attracting a mate and territorial stuff, and they don't need to do that.
So if they're already hanging out together, they don't need to. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
So what are some other sort of defense mechanisms that they hold?
Yeah, my favorite and least favorite one is the fact that they can vomit. And it's not, a lot of people think it's projectile vomiting. It's not quite that. It's not quite like an aimed, or at least from what I've experienced, it's not quite like an aimed attack. Of course, they have really strong stomach acid. It's I think 100 times as strong as a human's.
Whoa!
Because they eat dead things. They have to.
Because they eat everything like bones. And,
and it also smells super strong. So it's very disconcerting as a predator to see the thing that you want to eat throwing up some foul-smelling creature that just ate. And so it's because
getting like gacked at is really off-putting. I totally agree.
Never mind, I'm moving on.
I wouldn't want to be by a human, let alone a vulture. So do that, but it's also to lighten the load in a sense. So if you throw up your last meal, you're a little bit lighter and it's easier for you to get away. So it's equal parts like just disgusting and foul, and no predator would want to get near that, but also they can make a quick getaway.
So it's okay. All right. That's very interesting.
That is really interesting. And it also helps, doesn't it help to, break down like disease, and there's enzymes in there? Like
they have such strong stomach acid that they can eliminate diseases like anthrax and rabies and all the worst diseases that again might present in some kind of in a
dead thing. Yeah. Wow. Is that unique to vultures? I don't think I've ever heard that.
I'm not sure about other scavengers, but vultures are the only obligate vertebrate scavengers. So the only, I guess, land animals that primarily only scavenge. Like you got coyotes and foxes and jackals, like all sorts of things that will eat
dead things,
but they can eat so many other things too. I don't know how strong their stomach acid is. I would probably guarantee it's not as strong as the vultures, because vultures only get to do that. And that's why they're so important.
Okay.
Yeah. And then is it true that they, people have this idea that they're disgusting and gross and rotting, but it's actually not true at all. Like they have bald heads to keep themselves clean.
Exactly.
And they pee on their legs to get rid of disease? Yeah,
urohydrosis. It's a way to get rid of disease, and also to cool them off when it's hot out. It's interesting. It makes their legs look pretty white because it's like caked and everything. I would say I think they're sanitary-ish, but they're also, they gotta have to do the dirty job because nobody else is doing it full time.
Yeah, fair.
So even if they are a little gross, I think that I was gonna say necessary evil. It's not evil at all. It's a necessary thing to happen, and it's something that should be definitely lauded a lot more than it is.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to get near it, I understand that. I
Right.
mean, I like
Right.
it.
We would have a lot of nasty stuff lying around if it weren't
Yeah.
for vultures.
A lot of worse stuff than vultures. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just really important to sort of talk about this sort of stuff with them because of the job that they're doing. And this is part where we're talking about vultures, and it's why I love them. So in my sort of deep dive into vultures, I came across a term called convergent evolution.
Yeah.
This is fascinating in context to vultures.
Yeah, so we were talking about New World and Old World vultures, and so yeah, they've done something called convergent evolution, where New World vultures are related to all the other raptors, to hawks, eagles, and the like, but they are kind of their separate group. That's still their closest related ancestor. We thought it was storks for a while. Turns out it's not, but they're kind of like a sister group. Yeah, but the old world vultures are still scavengers. They still have a lot of the same behaviors, the bald heads, all of that, just because that's necessary for what they do. That's evolved independently, but they're also kind of like a specialized eagle. They're actually still in that family with the other hawks and eagles and everything that we know, all the other birds with feathered heads. Yeah, but not a lot of people know that. They just see like a vulture, and it's cool. I mean, I've been to Africa a couple times, and I've seen those old world vultures, and it's uncanny how similar they are. Like they have the broad wings because they need to soar. The reason that they're obligate scavengers or scavengers that only scavenge is because they're able to fly and cover long distances. Long distances. So they're both really social, and they both follow each other to carrion and like all of that, and they fight. They do the same kind of fighting. Like
right.
Not really sure about the familial bonds, but I'd wager that's probably pretty similar too.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's uncanny how similar they are.
I just thought that was a really interesting term. I thought that was really fascinating. And I'll just end because Jen, you had mentioned this. I will say that I did learn that vultures, when they're soaring, are kind of looking for food. However, they're also, what's the other thing that's not the only reason that they're up there. I was thinking about that I've read somewhere that they're conserving energy. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. So they migrate, at least some species migrate. Turkey vultures are the main migratory species in the United States. And they are super, or just all vultures, but are really, really energy efficient.
Yeah.
So once they get up there, they can essentially kind of set their wings and not have to flap and really expend energy or anything. I think turkey vultures specifically have I just remember this. They have they hold their wings up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's some
like
kind
high,
of yeah, or something that kind of sets their wing in place, so they really
don't have to effort at all. Interesting.
Yeah. I completely forgot what it was.
Well, that's amazing. Well, you have to email me later. But I just thought that was really interesting, and it also helps sort of dispel another. Like we grew up saying, "Oh, are you going to die soon?" Because the vultures are up there. It's not what's happening. So it's just another. They're just trying to conserve energy, and I'm sure they're looking around, but there's reasons that they're up there. Yeah, that's fascinating.
I've read that they conserve more energy in the air once they get high enough, but then they do actually sitting down or sitting straight, which is super cool to think about.
And it's so cool. Like on the power lines, I've seen them where they pull out their wings and they expand all the way out because the sun is drying them. Yeah, but and they're like drying, but it's like also doing something with clearing them of cleaning them up type thing. It's really cool. Again, they might look like Halloween spooky, but there's a reason they're doing this. So
exactly, they're not just trying to freak you out. They have a job to do.
Yeah,
things to do
for sure. And Kojo, we often find with animals like vultures that are maligned or highly misunderstood. It just often leads to this human wildlife conflict.
Yes.
So talk to us about how habitat loss and food scarcity and poisoning are major threats to the species and the other significant challenges vultures are facing today.
Yeah, one really big one that's happening right now is it's kind of a point of contention, especially with black vultures. So they eat primarily dead things, but there's a belief that they also will prey on dead weakened or sick animals, including livestock. And so, especially in the South, there are sometimes livestock losses that happen when it comes to black vultures. But there's a lot of misinformation about it that I think especially is pertinent because people already have such a negative opinion of them.
Yeah, interesting.
For example, they love the afterbirth, and so they will kind of hang around birthing cows to eat it up, and especially if it's like a newborn animal, or sorry, a new calving mom, and all of a sudden there are all these vultures around her, and she's got a calf that just was born. Things can happen, and things can be things can go south really quickly, and all of a sudden you have a dead calf, and then if the calf is dead, the vultures are going to eat it too.
Right. So it's sort of like the calf is really collateral damage in a way. They're not after the calf.
They're not trying to eat the live calf. Yeah. Right.
And also a lot of again, you see a dead animal and you see vultures eating it, and you assume the worst. I'm not disputing that livestock losses do happen because of vultures, but also there's even a bill in the House right now, I think, to allow farmers to take like an unspecified number of vultures that are resulting in losses.
Wow.
And
interesting.
Even though we know a lot about their behavior, they're also super long-lived animals, and they don't breed until I think the early stage is 7 years old.
Oh wow.
So if you are, causing damage to the population, there's also, possibility that you're possibly taking out the wrong animals.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ones that are breeding, maybe the older ones.
Right.
And I just think that we don't know enough at this time about their behavior. We're trying to learn more in order to make those decisions.
Okay.
Yeah. And I do recognize I'm biased here. I'm biased for sure in favor of the vultures.
But I mean, it's kind of your job.
Coming to Nebraska and working with cattle producers, and this isn't really a problem in Nebraska. It's more in other areas, but that they also have a livelihood, and so I understand that. I just think that there should be more information out there, and that we should also play a role in that. Negative biases also play a role in how situations come about. So I'm not sure exactly what the answer is, or what the solution is, but whatever it is, there should definitely be a lot more research done on the situation for sure. So that's a big one I think about, especially in terms of the U.S. Both of our vulture species are doing okay, are doing pretty well.
Okay.
But things can change really quickly. I mean, we had the passenger pigeon, which was once the most abundant bird in probably the whole world, and is now extinct.
Yeah, exactly.
It does happen. Yeah.
It does happen, and I think we talk about this human-wild conflict specifically in context to farmers across the world, and it really is a 50-50 thing. We do have to keep in mind that these are people's livelihoods. Some people are feeding their families with the food that they're bringing in, or the money they're making off of it. And so it really is, it's a complex issue. And I think it's really important to highlight both of those sides. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
Yeah.
And
the more we know, the better informed decisions we can make. So it is helpful to keep doing the research too, because it's not even like you just have to get the word out there. You still have to figure it out. For example, like non-lethal solutions are still something that we're trying to figure out. You don't have to kill the vultures. You can. Right.
They're hard to scare off. I will say that they're extremely obstinate. Once they like a spot, they don't leave.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of work to be done. That can be done on issues like that. That we should definitely explore all the options before committing the nuclear one, I think.
Right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I really appreciate that. And, I think it's interesting because just where I live, I see a lot of dead vultures by carrion because of car strikes, collisions. And we found with a lot of raptors and, carrion birds that's a big part of the issue is them getting hit on the side of the road.
Yeah, it's such an occupational hazard. And it's so sad because they hang out by roads because that's where the most animals die. That's what they got to do, especially with carrion, which is it can be a pretty inconsistent resource, which is why they got to cover long periods of distances to find it. So it's so hard because that's your livelihood. Is that the right word?
Yeah, for sure.
Sustenance, but it's also the place, like the most dangerous place for them to be.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and I always just say to people, just slow down a little bit. If you see a deer or an animal on the side of the road, just brake for a second. It's not going to ruin your day, I promise. And because there's probably a cleanup crew there that was just trying to do a job for you that you don't actually have to pay for in your taxes. So that's really helpful.
Very true.
Right? The economic contributions they're making across the world is huge. We talk about this all the time. they're much like, hyenas in that way too. So it's a big deal. And I just think, also with food scarcity, right? I mean, like, let's really help them out here. And this is where poisoning breaks my heart for animals, is because I understand why people are doing it. It's a brutal way to do it. And again, it's about education and collaboration, I think, really working together.
For sure.
I feel like vultures have a long history of poisoning, right? I mean, I just feel like that's the thing with them.
Yeah, it's especially the old world vultures definitely do. Sometimes poachers deliberately lace carcasses with agricultural pesticides in order to eliminate them.
Right.
Because the circling reveals the location of like a kill.
Oh, and so the poachers don't want the competition.
Yeah, exactly. Or they don't want, they don't want people, or like they don't want to be found out, I suppose.
Oh, I see. It's a way that people can tell where they are. I got you.
Protection.
Because I was like, why would they have to do that? Why would they have to poison them? Wow.
There's also unintentional poisoning. I think California condors faced a lot of that with lead shot.
Yeah.
That's
rough.
Oh, right, of course. So lead shot, that's a big deal with birds.
That's a big deal with raptors.
especially raptors.
Right on. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for chatting that through. I just think it's really important to remember that, animals are just trying to do their job and get through their days.
Through their own days.
Yeah. And let's elevate our way of dealing with this conflict, right? I mean, I think that's the thing. We're at a time where we can actually do this.
Indeed.
So Kojo, I'd like to shift a bit and talk with you about representation.
Yeah.
We often talk to our guests about representation in the world of science and conservation, and you have a really solid and active Instagram account. And the reason I mention it is because it's a great way to follow you, for sure, but it's also a great way to represent yourself. So I'm curious what it's like from your perspective, being a Black person in this space, and what role you feel representation plays in your work.
Yeah, being a Black birder has been a super interesting experience for me because I always had space to outdoor. I had a lot of access to outdoor spaces growing up, which isn't always the case for people like me. And it's funny because my parents are African, and again, they're not outdoorsy at all. But a lot of times people ask me, did I have a mentor who helped me get into it growing up or anything like that? And I would say I definitely had adults who took an avid interest and fostered my interest.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was like really just self-driven, like or innate almost. Like I've always had that interest. But yeah, I grew up in a predominantly white area for sure. And especially when you're birding, that's a much more predominantly white kind of sport. So it was always.
You don't see a lot of 6-year-olds out birding.
Yeah. And then there's
like
my age.
Right. Yeah.
Like 86.
Yeah, I'm too young for most birders, and I'm a lot older than you. Yeah.
So when I started, I wasn't super aware of any of that. But as you grow older, of course, you become especially younger for I feel people of color, you become really aware of racial dynamics.
Right.
And after that, and obviously you also come across people who probably not on purpose, but commit microaggressions, like assume maybe because you're a young Black guy in birding, even if you have all the extra gear and everything, you look pretty professional. I mean, but they assume that you're a beginner and you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And so that always used to grab my gears a lot, especially when I was like probably like in my teens. But
oh, sure.
Yeah, I think that Black Birders Week in 2020, or a lot of things in 2020, but that was the inaugural Black Birders Week, which, if you're not aware, is a week that happens at the end of May, that essentially serves to uplift not just Black birders, but Black people in the outdoors, and the fact that outdoors is for everybody. That was a really big shift in how I thought about things, because I realized that there were more people like me out there. And Christian Cooper, of course, who had the police called on him for birding in Central Park, essentially.
I was going to ask you what year was that?
Oh,
Was that
right,
before?
Yeah, that was 2020. That was,
Okay.
I think that and the death of George Floyd, all of that happened essentially the same couple days.
Okay.
It was really insane. But then Black Birders Week was kind of the culmination of that specific event.
Yeah, right,
and it
okay.
happened every year. And it's just been a great way for one, to find people like me, but also to kind of get out there as an become a role model for other young Black people who might be trying to get into it, and see that it's not that there aren't many people who look like you, um and feel that it's not their place because of that. Like the outdoors, I found so much solace in it, and I found pretty much like my life's path has been through discovering nature. And I think that it's important for me to be visible, to show that it doesn't matter what you like. So just not to be like, hey, but it really doesn't matter what you look like. As long as you're out there enjoying nature, no one can take that away from you. No one can take that away from you. So
I love that.
It's definitely been really crazy, especially as the past couple of years as my Instagram has really taken off. But I wouldn't what was I gonna say? I wouldn't change it for the world. Yeah, it's been great to have my platform.
Yeah, and I just think like representation is so important. I mean, it was for me as a little girl, and I think for those of us who are feel marginalized or not seen, discredited, discounted, all of those things at the very least. I think representation really is so important. The visual and the audio, just hearing and seeing, and it's just such an inspiration for kids. You know, we really need these next generations so desperately. And it's just such a beautiful thing as a little person to see somebody who looks like you and is doing something that actually is very cool. It's not nerdy. It's not exclusive, although, you know, institutions in this world sets it up to be that way. It doesn't have to be. And I love that. And I think that's partly why I love your Instagram really is so good, though. You guys gotta follow. Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
I think that's one of the biggest upsides to social media is that.
Visibility for sure.
People can see you, and I really think you should find that picture of your 6 or 7 year old self with your binoculars and your phone and put it on your Instagram.
I think I posted one not too long ago.
You did? Okay, I'm gonna go scour through and find it. Because
it shouldn't be too far down.
I just think that's so helpful for kids with all the negative things that can happen from social media. To see these positives is it makes it worth it, I feel like.
Absolutely.
And so thank you for
it's one of the powerful positives of social media. For sure. And I love that. And I appreciate it. And it's also, you know, your work with vultures, I so deeply appreciate too, because it's just another way to see another being on an even playing field. And just talking about how cool and interesting and fantastic and all the things about them. And I hate the misconceptions. You know, it's nothing worse than someone being like, well, you're this and this and this, and just like, oh my gosh, it makes your blood boil. Like, no, I'm not. And this is the same for animals. And with people, you know, like you that are representing in a new and fresh, fun, young way is just really great. Really, really great. So thank you for that. Just one question. I would love to hear, before I forget to ask you this, what's one of your best vulture stories? Like, what's something that when we say, what's your favorite story? Like, what comes to mind for you?
Oh, okay. I guess I could talk about my thesis work. So I wrote my thesis in my senior year, but the summer before was I got to go out to rural Pennsylvania, where black vultures have a pretty decent stronghold, and do some research on them. And it was kind of an interesting summer because I didn't really know what my research questions were yet. So a lot of it was just be sitting around trying to figure out what exactly I could ask, especially since avian flu was still kind of hitting them at that time. And so we couldn't do all the things we wanted with them. And so I was just kind of like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Right.
It was one thing we got to do every week was go out and monitor the nests that we did know about, and take growth data on how those young were developing. And so vultures tend to nest in like secluded locations, and so ancestrally that would be maybe a fallen log or a cave and on a mountain or something like that. But with, of course, humanity, we have created all these buildings and then abandoned a lot of them, and so they love an abandoned building. They love an abandoned barn.
Cool.
So especially in rural areas, that's where you'll find the nests. And so we would basically show up to these landowners would reach out to the place where I worked, which was Hawk Mountain.
Oh, right.
Gosh,
We
we
know
are
Hawk
very
Mountain.
familiar with Hawk
Oh yeah,
Mountain.
you're from Pennsylvania. Oh my goodness.
That's like an hour away from
my
us.
mom used to live near there. We have lots of friends and people like we know like that area very well.
I was going to
Yeah,
ask you
I love
what
it there.
rural Pennsylvania? What were you? Okay.
Yeah. Right
I'm
on.
sorry. I completely forgot who I was speaking to.
No, it's fine. Yeah, Hawk Mountain, of course.
Yeah, so they do a lot of cool black vulture work, and so that's where I was situated for the summer. And they have landowners that they know who will reach out to them if they have vultures nesting in some old part of a barn or something, and then they will roll up and try to take data, and then eventually tag the birds when they get old enough, in order to get some cool demography data, and hopefully find out where they go because they tend to wander for the first couple years of their lives, but. Seeing the baby vultures was like the coolest thing ever. They hated us. But I think I was talking to you about that hissing. The craziest thing ever is pulling up to some old decrepit building, and it's super dark inside, and all you hear is this hissing coming from the corner. And if I didn't know there were vultures, I'd think the place was haunted, to be completely
that's
honest.
a little scary. That would be a little
it really
creepy.
gets your hackles up, I bet.
Yeah.
Chills.
Then you have to wrangle them too. So of course they can bite. I mean, not like real biting, but like nipping and stuff. And so you kind of have to go in and get them cornered and then like pick them up. And I don't think I ever really wrangled. I got to hold a couple, but
Okay.
Do you wear like gloves, like big leather gloves?
I don't think. Oh yes, you do wear gloves. Yeah, wear gloves. And then the funniest thing or grossest thing, depending, is that you have to empty them because they probably just ate or have eaten recently. So now I told you they throw up. Yeah. Right. Essentially, you kind of have to tip them over, and then they'll kind of do their thing, and then
oh my gosh,
and go back, and then you can take all the data you need. So
that's like the cutest / grossest baby story I've heard so far. Yeah. Thank you for that. That's so
that
great.
was crazy.
I bet.
Held them you gotta hold them to your body, and definitely it did not come out.
Oh my gosh, you're like, you vomit first and then I'll vomit next and then you vomit and we'll take turns.
I have a gross question follow up of that. Do they eat what they've vomited up after you're done so they don't lose their last meal, or do they leave it?
I don't think so. I think it's, to be honest, it's kind of liquidated at that point.
Okay.
I don't think
I'm
so.
drooling now.
Well, then they're hungry. The poor
Sometimes they're like,
right.
there can be like little piles of vomit, or just discarded, dead things. Because I should also add, the parents feed their babies by regurgitating what they ate.
Okay, so it's already
Yeah, if it wasn't gross enough,
broken down. Okay,
Hey, listen, it's all good.
But it's actually really interesting to look at. We had cameras set up in the nest too, so you got to see the babies, acting like babies. They run around, they test out their wings, they do all that stuff, but also got to see them being fed.
Yeah.
It was all super cool.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, thanks for that. Like I said, to date, the cutest, grossest baby story I've heard. Never forget it.
Yeah, babies are gross in every
Yeah, they really are.
Babies can be. You're right. Babies are gross. You've heard it here. You heard it here. We won't stop saying that. So, Kojo, we've talked a lot about vultures and why, you and we see them as critically important. But for those listening that may not yet be convinced, why is this a conversation? Why is this conversation so important? And what would you have that listener take away from this?
Yeah, I just think that it's not just about their ecological importance. It's also just about fundamentally misunderstanding what ecology or what the environment is about. Every species has a role to play. And some roles might not be the most aesthetically pleasing to you, but they help you in more ways than you could ever realize. And it's all about diversity, really. It all comes back to diversity. It's the fact that, I guess one part on its own might not seem like all that, but it's how everything comes together as a whole that really helps you determine or see why ecology is so cool, I think, and how environments function. And so at the same time, it's important not to judge. I mean,
agreed.
You see an animal that, of course, is not like the prettiest Oriole or Robin or whatever the heck, and immediately your first thought is, "Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I don't want that near me." And it's not even just to personify them because they don't have feelings. They don't care.
Right. True.
I like the fact that they're so unapologetically themselves.
Yeah.
Like they know they have an important role to play and they don't care how it gets accomplished.
Right.
And that's just, to me, that's really admirable. And I think it says a lot about, I guess, just how people's biases can really play a part in how you perceive something. when the truth, or I guess other people's realities, can be also really different.
Yeah.
I think they have a super interesting story, and I love telling it. I love showing people. I've found, I don't know, it's funny because it's supposed to be an unpopular opinion, but I have 40 million, I'm sorry, 40, not 40 million, 40,000 followers on Instagram. So obviously some people resonate. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
kind of
right.
funny.
You're
I
not
mean,
the only one. Yeah.
people love, like, I guess, unpopular opinions and like hot takes and whatever. And
But I also think people also like to be educated. And
yeah,
I think if, like, always feel like the truth is that things that we don't like are usually things we don't understand.
yes,
Like
100%.
it's just, well, oh, you're kind of gross, so I decide you're gross, but I don't know anything about you. And we do this with species of all kinds, including human beings. And I think
Yeah.
I think that's the actual thing, is that this applies globally. Like, we
100%.
need to continue to learn about things that we don't understand
Yeah.
in order to have more care for them, I think,
Well
is the
said.
truth, you know?
Well said.
And so it's just, but it's these, like you said, these things that seem to be thriving could quickly go poorly if people don't understand. You know, we have to keep educating ourselves in a lot of ways, but I think that this season especially is so great because it's not a koala bear or, you know, a little fuzzy fox cub, but they are very vital to the ecosystem, and none of them are dispensable.
Absolutely.
Disposable.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, so well said. And, you know, it's one thing you mentioned, you said the word diversity, Kojo, and I think diversity in science and conservation, we definitely do not, if the natural world, like, this bigger takeaway to me is like, diversity, we know, makes us all stronger.
Yes.
And I think that's such a great word and takeaway for this episode too. And it's just so great to hear your voice. And you're so smart, and you have such a kindness, and you can tell, like, how much you care. And so many of these conversations go from, we're talking about all of our sort of, you know, the species all around us and on an equal playing field. And I love that you have that that perspective and that voice. And I just can't wait to see where you go in your life. We will be following you. Whatever platform you choose, we will be there. So please tell our listeners, where can we follow you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Kojo Baidoo, is the name, and technically on TikTok by the same name. I'm trying not the TikTok thing. I'm not super consistent with it, but maybe someday I'll really get into it. But
and that's Kojo Birder, yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Perfect. Yeah, and we're just loving your photography too. It's another way to represent, you know, without words, and just here's some great pictures. So thank you so much for joining us today. And
so
yeah, speaking with us. It's exciting that you're young and you've got your whole I can't, you know, David Attenborough, here you come, right? 99, Kojo.
I can only dream.
Oh, well, I don't know. You've been doing it a long time. So here you go. You're halfway there. So thanks again. Enjoy the prairie. Is that where you are?
Yes,
Nebraska?
yes, indeed. Yeah, Nebraska prairie.
All right, go wrestle some bison right now. You're busy cowboying out there.
Yeah.
All right, take care, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much again for having me, and thanks for the opportunity. It's been great.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the takeaway. So I think my overall about Kojo, well, first of all, it's just a joyful, really interesting, fun conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Me too.
Just such a, I don't know, he's got such a great energy.
Agreed.
And he's so smart, and he's just starting out, and I just kind of can't wait to see where he goes. I just know that wherever he goes, he's going to make a really big impact. Yeah. And that's exciting. It's really exciting to see the next generation kind of up and out there.
Yeah, and I think he kind of smiled through the whole interview. Like, I think he just is a happy, cheerful guy who loves what he's doing. And it's kind of fun to talk to people who love what they're doing. And
for sure.
Who are so enthusiastic about
very inspiring
their life. Yeah.
Yes. And for us old crotchety old.
That's right. Exactly.
Podcaster.
When the young people are so enthusiastic.
I love the young people. For sure. Absolutely. I think so. for my overall, I kept coming back to the thought that when he was talking about like, intelligence of them, of these birds, and it made me think of other birds, ravens and things like that. And just thinking about a vulture, I was just looking at his Instagram. Actually, he has this video about a baby vulture doing the zoomies. And it's really, really cute. And it's so genuine. He's like, I didn't know they could do the zoomies, but it's like a sense of humor, quote unquote. I'll put that right. I mean, I'm not trying to anthropomorphize, but their curiosity in these animals is, scientists have told us that it actually can be a marker for high intelligence.
Right.
And I think that's true for humans as well. I think
agree.
if you have a good sense of humor and you're curious about life, I think you're a more intelligent, well-rounded human.
Yeah.
But it's also a way that we can see them in us, right? It's a bridge. It's this sort of way
That's a good way to put it. It's a bridge. It's a connector. It's not, and it isn't anthropomorphism. It's just a relational. There's a relatability when we see that in them, and a recognition, I think you could say too. It's like, oh, I see that.
Yeah, recognition. And again, it's sort of, I see them and me, not, I'm making, exactly. I can relate to them because I think they're funny.
Right.
It's that they are actually genuine, intelligent, and curious beings.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we're trying to do here at the podcast, is reconnect me. I'm trying to reconnect to these animals in a way that, because I really believe this, that every species is our equal. Yeah. I mean, from the leaf on a tree to the whale in the ocean or whatever being, we are all equal. And I think when we can find these bridges, they don't need them to us. We need them to them.
Yeah.
But I think that's a way that we can relate and connect, and then find these moments where we can conjure that empathy, right? Yeah. And it's like you say many, many times, if we can understand them, we can love them, and then we can support them. We care. Right. And I think so many of our guests are talking also about diversity as such a critical part of the natural world, right, and how important diversity is. So if we can also see that, and vultures are very different than a lot of other birds. Like he was saying,
right, they
don't call or sing. They don't have a larynx, whatever he's calling it,
or vocal cords. Maybe.
Vocal cords, right? Yes.
Yeah.
They don't. So they like grunt and
they can sort of
growl and hiss. They
bit.
hiss.
Yeah, hiss. Right. Yeah.
And the other day I was watching them in the sky, and it was dead silent. There was not
that's
one.
The thing I had never put together. But I've never heard them make a sound. Now I know why.
Yes, exactly. Right. But this diversity also, I think, is so important. And I think Kojo is such a great representative of the diversity that we also have within this world. Like we're all different, and yet that's what makes this planet such a beautiful space.
Yeah. And
also the diversity makes it so much stronger. Like if you look at all these different species and different humans, we're all a human species. However, it's what makes the pillars of what keeps this planet.
Everyone's necessary.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Every part is vital. And not only the fact that he's a black man and a young man in the field, but also there's something about a 6-year-old serious birder at 6 years old that actually is like, that's not the norm. But how cool is that he knew at 6, this is my passion. I'm obsessed with birds. And his parents supported him in that. And that is not average. Most 6-year-olds aren't out there with wanting their binoculars to go bird watching.
Yeah.
And I love that he is just like, this is who I am, and what a gift that is.
Yes, and like the little 6-year-old is out of the norm for 6-year-olds to want to be so serious about that. And to this day, I think he would say, I consider myself a birder. And that's where that is so inspiring to me.
Yeah.
I love that. I just love that. And
me too.
And he's inspiring others, and it's that representation where he's putting up he's really representing vultures in a way that maybe becomes a little more normal. Can things that are exceptional actually become more normal to us? Can a 6-year-old, maybe that doesn't have to be that abnormal or out of the norm. And I think it's like another thing we try to do here is normalize, in the most respectful way, animals in nature, right? Why does it? Because it's let's celebrate the diversity,
right? And even
as
if it
normal.
Even if we don't even have to use the word normal, but just can we
True.
celebrate the fact that there's a 6-year-old who loves to bird? I want to celebrate that, and that touches me.
Yes,
And it's like, you go and just,
unapologetically too. He's like, well, I don't know. It's just what I want to do.
Great. Just be you. Like the same with the vulture. Like it's empowering to other people, I think, to see humans being themselves.
Yes. Yeah. And I get a lot of inspiration from that. That's
Same.
why the natural world is so inspirational to me. And I relate so much to that. So thanks so much to Kojo for his contribution in representing vultures and other animals he does on his Instagram account in a way that is kind and accurate and changing a narrative that isn't true for animals like vultures.
Right.
And please follow him on Instagram at Kojo Birder. So it's Kojo Birder, where you can also see a baby vulture get the zoomies. It's so cute and hilarious.
I'm going there after this for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think he's just got a great he's got a great Instagram. It's where we found him. So thanks everyone for listening. So appreciate your support. If you especially like this episode, please share it with friends and family. Send it to your friend's 6-year-old birder so they know that there's other 6-year-olds out there doing what you really want to do. This is really inspiring. And again, thanks to Kojo for joining us today. And have a great rest of your day and lots of love. Kindred is hosted by me and my sister Jen, produced by Kat Gaddy and myself, sound production and editing by Dan Cooper, original music by Ellie Grace, and our Kindred artwork was created by Lindsay Coffin. Please follow, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts, and feel free to contact us through our website at kindredpodcast.co, where you can also find details about Kindred Plus, our subscription service, as well as links to our social media accounts and show notes.